For those that don't know me, my name's Wayne Briley. I'm the Senior Purchasing Advisor at the South Coast District Office. I have a number of staff from the office here in attendance. We've got Paul Owen from Workplace Health and Safety. We've got Rob Hall, the District Manager. We've got Murray Bell, Senior Housing Supervisor. We've got Nicola Powell, who is our Category Manager. And from Brisbane, a colleague of mine, Dan Menz, are here today, and they'll be able to assist with any questions we have at the end of the presentation. So we're here today to have a look at the upcoming Housing Vacant Maintenance tender opportunity. And we're here to provide information and guidance on the upcoming government tender for housing vacant maintenance in South East Queensland. That includes the South Coast District Office, the Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. We're here to demonstrate our commitment to continuous improvement in the way we tender and simplifying the process for industry. And we're here to provide an opportunity for existing and potential contractors to ask questions and to clarify the tender process. Some key drivers. We're here to support regional development, and our tender process, by being broken down to zones within the district offices, will enable us to do that. Over the last couple of years, we've been reducing red tape, so we've been reviewing the terms and conditions of our contracts and having a look at where we can streamline the process to make it easier for the industry and our contractors. And you'll see that with an example of the ITO document that I put on the screen and how we're trying to streamline the process for you when you submit your tender. Better services for Queenslanders and delivering value for money, not only for BAS, but for our clients and for the public. The agenda today: who is building and asset services? As we're known, BAS, the core services of BAS. Industry opportunities in 2015, so aside from the housing vacant maintenance tender, we have a couple of other projects that are upcoming that we'll give you some information on. We'll have a housing vacant maintenance overview, both statewide and SEQ. We'll look at the housing vacant maintenance process and provide an overview, the objectives of the invitation to offer, tender timeframes, the ITO Response Workbook, and we've got a draft that we'll put up on the screen, and we'll just guide you through some processes and how we're trying to streamline it and make it easy for you to submit your offer. There's some additional information and resources, and we've got a handout for you at the end of the presentation that we'll be giving to everyone that gives you that additional information and some resource material. And then at the end, as I said, questions and answers, and if we could keep questions and answers to the end of the presentation, that would be great. So who is BAS? BAS is a division of the Department of Housing and Public Works. BAS procures the delivery of building construction and service maintenance for government departments and statutory bodies, seeking to effectively deliver programs of work and optimise value for money outcomes. BAS operates across 6 regional areas throughout Queensland, and BAS outsources approximately 90% of its work to industry through a variety of sourcing solutions. Now that's increased from 70% over the last couple of years to 90%. We do outsource a lot of the work and our requirements for our clients. The regions, so we have the 6 regions, as I said: South East Queensland, South West Queensland, Wide Bay Burnett, Central, North and Far North Queensland. In South East Queensland, we have the Regional Executive Director, Paul Black. We have 3 district offices: Ipswich, the South Coast Office and the Sunshine Coast District Office. Core services of BAS. Our service offerings are based on strong and robust relationships with our customers and industry. We focus on procurement, program and project management, risk management and contract management. We're an enabler, we facilitate work, and as I said, we outsource approximately 90% of our work. Some capabilities: transition to the industry, majority of construction activities, most maintenance services, facilities management, horticulture and professional design services. Industry opportunities in 2015 and 16. So apart from the housing vacant maintenance tender, we have statewide service maintenance tender for hard facilities management and soft facilities management. That includes 7 categories for hard facilities management and 2 for soft FM. Under hard facilities management, you'll see tenders relating to HVAC, electrical, fire, fixed equipment, transport, hydraulics, sewage treatment plants, and the release of those will be 2015 and 16. And for soft FM, that relates to cleaning, pest control, hygiene, waste and horticultural contracts with release in early 2016. Innovations. So BAS has introduced a web portal, and it is planned that all of SEQ vacant maintenance activities are dispatched and finalised through an internet-based program, the web portal. This includes the following activities required by the contractor, i.e. closing off the task and including relevant details, with e-invoicing due to be released October 15 this year. And there'll be further information on that from our strategic procurement area from George Street. Likewise, compliance forms that make up part of the contract will be required to be closed and attached by the contractor via the web portal. Statewide overview. Social housing stock accommodation, Queensland statewide numbers are approximately 64,000 units, made up of approximately 50% houses, 48% units, and a further 2% is made up of boarding houses, hostels, and community facilities. The number of units failing vacant averages approximately 555 per month and is split over the 6 regions as follows. So you see Far North Queensland 25, Central Queensland 50, Southwest Queensland 20, North Queensland 45 per month, Wide Bay Burnett 20 per month. And for Southeast Queensland, you'll see that we take the vast majority of vacant properties that need to be brought up to a relettable standard, averaging 395 across South Coast District, Sunshine Coast District and Brisbane Metro. Southeast Queensland overview. There are approximately 46,000 residential properties in SEQ, which are located as follows. Brisbane Metro 33,000, Sunshine Coast 9,000 and the Gold Coast 4,000. The tender document will also give you details of the number of properties in each zone. So for instance, Gold Coast has 2 zones, Zone A and Zone B. Zone A has 2,500 approximate residents and Zone B will have approximately 1,500. You'll get the same breakdown for the zones in Brisbane Metro and Sunshine Coast as part of the tender package and the tender detail. Another item I need to point out is, excuse me, in the Brisbane Metro area, the housing client is moving to a non-government organisation for their maintenance activities, and that's 5,000 properties in Logan in early 2016. So 5,000 at this stage will drop off that Brisbane Metro figure. Southeast Queensland undertakes trade services on approximately 395 vacant residents per month, which is broken down as follows. Brisbane Metro 290, South Coast District Office 25 and Sunshine Coast District 80. A note down the bottom that there are a number of trials being carried out in areas around the state which may impact on regional district requirements. I'd further point out that though those figures up there say Brisbane Metro at 290, there are some months where that figure can go up towards 350, 400. So it does fluctuate in regards to the number of properties that we need to get back to the relettable standard for our client. This is an overview of the process. So our Housing Service Centre notifies the BAS district region of the property. The BAS vacant supervisor managing the zone, so we have a supervisor per zone. He'll visit the property, attend site to scope the required works. The trade services required are identified with the appropriate contractors called and notified of work details, timeframes, scheduling, etc. The BAS vacant supervisor visits the property during scheduled works, ensuring contractors adhere to timeframes, workplace health and safety, compliance, works to an acceptable standard, etc. The BAS vacant supervisor attends a site once the work is complete, collecting the keys and returns the property to the client for reletting. The BAS vacant supervisor then receives and signs off invoices for the contractors to make payment to you guys, and invoices are to be submitted within 7 days of completing the works. An important note, and for you to really drive it home, is the scheduling and the timeframes. The client, when we get notified of the vacant property, gives us a window of opportunity, generally around 5 to 11 days. In that time frame, the vacant supervisor has to coordinate the trades, ensuring that time frame is met to get the property back to the relettable standard. So if we come to you, we need you to tell us on the front foot that if your capacity currently is full and you cannot meet that time frame, that you let us know. So then we can work with other panel members to ensure that time frame is met. Another important point is that you may have a number of contractors at the site at the one time. So you might have a painter in the lounge room and you might have a plumber, electrician in the kitchen or the dining room, etc. So you'll be working on site at times with more than one contractor to ensure we meet that time frame. And in regards to meeting that time frames, there's going to be a number of key performance indicators that are part of the contract and for which will be reviewed where contractors are continually falling down in regards to meeting time frames. They will receive less work until we work with them to pick up their standard or ensure that they can meet our time frames. So if there are performance issues with a contractor, the volume of work that they get will drop. Other contractors will pick up a bit more until such time as any performance matters are rectified. The objectives of the invitation to offer. So we're establishing a standing offer arrangement for the following trades: carpentry, electrical, plumbing, glazing, locksmith, mowing yard maintenance, painting, pest control, cleaning, and builder incorporating all of the above trades. However, I need to point out that for certain zones, a trade may not be required. For instance, on the Gold Coast for painting, we have painters as field staff and they're undertaking that activity for us, so we don't require assistance from the industry to get through that work for that particular trade. That's the only trade and zone that's affected at this point in time, and I don't think that that's likely to change. However, the tender document will notify if a zone doesn't require one of those trades as part of offers to be submitted. So we're going to establish tiered panel arrangements within SEQ by zone and service type, which support the development of regional, district capability and capacity, deliver overall value for money, while ensuring competitive local suppliers are afforded a full, fair and reasonable opportunity to supply to government. Deliver overall value for money, to ensure the timely completion of trade work to comply with current client requirements and ensure a reliable standard is achieved. In regards to bullet point 1 there about tiered panel arrangements, for some zones where we've got a high volume of properties to maintain, we may have 2 tiers. The first tier might be established with 3 contractors, and we think that that generally will get through the volume of work. However, we may have a second tier which has, say for instance, 2 contractors. If we have a spike in demand or the client comes to us with a large volume of properties for that particular zone and our 3 tier 1 contractors are full, we may then offer work to the tier 2 contractors to help us to get through that spike. Likewise, if there's performance issues with a tier 1 contractor and we're working with them, they may drop to tier 2 and receive less work, and we move a tier 2 contract up to tier 1 while we work through with the contractor to rectify any performance matters. We want to ensure that we meet workplace health and safety and other statutory requirements with a focus on zero harm. And zero harm is a core value of BAS, and we'd like to see our contractors come on board with that. We want to demonstrate capability and capacity to undertake the work in a professional and timely manner. We want to select contractors who support industry capability development through the engagement of apprentices and social enterprises, and comply with BAS requirements to implement more efficient processes and to support innovation. And innovation will be part of the key performance indicators. We're open to information and suggestions from the marketplace in regards to how we can improve our processes and procedures to achieve better value for money outcomes. So that will be, innovation will constantly pop up in regards to the term of the contract. We want to optimise customer satisfaction. And as I touched on before, robust contractor performance management via quantitative and qualitative data and review meetings inclusive of key performance indicators under specific areas. Financial management examples: invoicing accuracy, timeliness, completeness, correct rates and breakdown, etc. Operational performance, quality, outputs, response times. communications, complaints, issues, costs, innovation, workplace health and safety, compliance, asbestos, etc. Indicative tender timeframes. So these sessions on the Gold Coast have followed sessions at Caboolture and at Brisbane. Today's the last day of those. Then we move on to the issue of the ITO via BAS's e-tender site with advertisement through Q-Tender. That's scheduled for late September, early October. The tender closing date, that'll be 3 weeks after the tender has been released or issued. To evaluate responses, supplier feedback, shortlisting and administration. That'll be as required, subject to the number of offers, clarifications, negotiations, etc. And award and commencement of the new contract will be in early 2016. The invitation to offer a response workbook. It has 2 components, pricing and non-pricing, which is capability and capacity. Pricing will be weighted at 60%, while non-pricing at 40%. Non-pricing and pricing will be separately evaluated, then combined for a final score before any contract clarifications, negotiations or award. The documents will also have a conflict of interest form and a tender checklist, which will enable you to mark off and ensure that you've submitted or completed all the relevant fields before you send in your offer. Just going to pop up a draft of the workbook, the response workbook that we're working on. It is only a draft, and just go through how we're trying to simplify it, streamline it and make it for you easy to complete and submit. So we have a number of tabs down the bottom, and you'll see the first tab talks about introduction. What I need to point out here is all the cells that are yellow, that are filled in yellow, are cells that are required to be completed. All the cells that are light blue require incumbent details. Where cells are shaded otherwise, data isn't required and you won't be able to put data in. So as an example, if we move across to tab 3, and if we were to select that we want to make an offer for carpentry, we hit the drop down, we tick yes. Automatically further down the workbook, the carpentry cells open up yellow because we want the license details. So as you progressively work through the workbook, different cells will open up, go yellow to let you know you need to complete them based upon what you've submitted so far. And for instance, just to show you, if we go to the pricing page or the pricing tab, the carpentry cells for pricing has opened up. So depending on what zone, what trade type you tick that you want to make an offer for, flow on cells will open up that need to be completed. Again, draft only, but that's the premise of the workbook. As I said before, we have a handout that we're going to give you at the end of the session. There'll be some in the room that aren't registered with BAS. Before we can award you a contract, you need to be registered with BAS. The link up top, registration's at hpw.qld.gov.au. You need to go on there, you follow the process to register. Once you have registered, you get a unique 6-digit code, that is your vendor number. For those that may be registered, we encourage and remind that you should go on there routinely to ensure that your details in there are up to date. Your point of contact, your mobile number, your licensing details, your insurance, etc. We've also included the Q-Tender website and the BAS e-Tender website. Again, you can go there, you can register, and you can register for automatic notifications for certain tenders when they're released from government relating to what trade or what work you're interested in. During the tender itself, we'll have tender support details with, at this stage, it will be one officer and appropriate contact details. That's it for the presentation.